Hello and welcome to Sugar, Silk and Stretch, brought to you tonight with extra sugar. My name is Ben Doughty,
My name is Michael Silkolajibe.
and we are delighted to be joined tonight by my old mate Brown Sugar, former British, European, and Commonwealth champion Esham Pickering. What's happening, Shug?
Ben, I'm here to back you up because I see these guys. You're a sugar like me, so I'm gonna make it two sugars today, and we're gonna take these guys out of the game. I see how Gary ain't turned up, so without a number in the Silk here, Silk's gonna have a problem.
You know something? Yeah, because he actually calls me Shug, my Silk. I've known Esham for a few years now, and obviously, like yourself, I used to read about him. I used to watch him on TV. I didn't know him personally, and I do consider it a privilege that he calls me Shug. Because he should, by rights, he shouldn't even deign to do that because he was, he did
Well,
what
we
he
have
did. So
we have Brown Suge, we have Suge Knight, and then we have Suge White. So
yeah, there you go. Listen, guys,
yeah.
the major talking point today was the news. It broke when I woke up this morning. I woke up to the news that Ryan Garcia has received a ban as expected. Devin Haney's record has been restored to 31-0. He is an unbeaten fighter, technically at least. And it's a 12-month ban, is a $10,000 fine, which is the maximum allowed by the New York State Athletic Commission. And interestingly, he's having to return his contracted 1.1 million purse to Golden Boy. I think he earned a whole lot more than that from the pay-per-view. But first things first, I'll go with you first, Esham. Do you think
That's
it's a sufficient?
okay.
I'll go with you first, Silk. This is like
No, I
working
was
with
going to
children
ask you,
and animals.
like you
Silk, go on.
stated so many points. I just needed to go in on one thing before you got there, and now
Go
you
ahead.
made me forget what I wanted to actually say. And that
Oh,
was
oh, and is that Tommy Hearn's fault, Iran Barclays, or Frank Tate's, or who? Who
I
is to
wanna
blame for your forgetfulness?
Ben, I wanna follow Silk anyway because it'll give me something
that's
to work
funny.
on.
I was going to
Silk,
say,
is it enough? Is
shouldn't,
it enough
shouldn't,
of a ban?
shouldn't this kid be actually, shouldn't Devin Haney actually be 32-0?
Oh, what you? So you see, that's the thing, Silk. You're actually saying it should be
It
a
should
win
be.
for Haney and a
Why
loss
not?
for Garcia, not a no contest,
Why not?
like
Not
an
at all.
overturn.
Yeah, exactly. An absolute overturn. I
You
mean,
believe that, yes?
you have to make people pay for their sins. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
you do something as dirty as bad as that. Come on, you can't just say it's all even and go back to the way it was before. Um,
Like it
Devin,
just didn't happen.
Devin Haney came in clean. He fought clean, did all the things he had to do. The other kid decided to, Garcia decided to do it another way. It's a loss. That's an absolute loss.
What's your take, Shug? I know earlier today you thought it had been overturned until I clarified it for you.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't believe in overturning it because the only reason I don't is because the fight went ahead. So if they let them guys get in the ring, they've already had a drug test. Why is the drug test not cleared before they've got in the ring? So no other fight has been overturned ever in the history of boxing. Like I mean as a win or a loss. If you've won the fight, you've not lost the win. So that's what I'm saying. It's never been overturned in that way. They can say it's a no contest or a disqualification, but you can't overturn it to a win or a loss. So I kind of agree, but I think Garcia should have a lifetime ban. Anybody who gets caught with drugs should have a lifetime ban, and they should have all the money took off them.
Wow.
Not 10 fucking grand. You have the lot took off them.
Do you know what the thing is? Do you know what, Esham? Because he's made a bunch of money anyway, more than the 1.1 million that he's supposedly going back to Golden
He won
Boy.
a bet for 3 million.
Well, there's that, and he's it's a retroactive ban from April 20th, the date of the fight. Some fighters only fight once a year anyway. So what kind of message is that sending out, gentlemen?
Yeah, that's what we're saying. The punishment does not fit the crime. It's an L on the record, absolute L on the record. He deserves to be fined, and it should be a significant fine, something he's going to feel. And yeah, I mean, I can't think of much more than that. I mean, you're going to ban him for a while. I understand he's going to sit on the sidelines for. I would say at least a year. I would give him a year.
It's not enough, man.
Yeah,
4 years. Untraceable says he should have got untraceable. It's an interesting alias given the nature of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
He says he should have got a 4-year ban. I think 4 years That is the common penalty meted out to relative nobodies. I had a fighter, Esham will remember, Larry Olabamiwo, who got a 4-year ban initially when he was popped for EPO after a certain fight. And in the end, I've told you this before, I think, Silk, but he got his ban commuted to 2 years because he grassed somebody else up. He basically gave evidence against someone else. They banned that guy and cut my guy's ban in half, which. I mean, what the hell is that's another what kind of message is that sending out? But 1 year, 12 months from April, it really is nominal, isn't it? It's inane almost.
Yeah, it is. But when you look at it in the life of a fighter, it's pretty significant.
What
Because the fight
you mean 1 year is or
one year is significant when you look into the life of a fighter, because it really genuinely isn't that long, unless you're talking about legendary fighters.
That's what I'm saying.
Burns, all the rest of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, go on.
Fighters fight once a year.
Some of them do. Canelo fights twice a year,
Yeah.
And Canelo, Sid Bogle says most of the big stars have been popped, though, like Fury and Canelo. Obviously, Canelo got that 6-month ban back in 2018, which simply did.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That doesn't make any sense.
And they always say, because some people are still saying Ryan Garcia's legal team put out a statement today, and they said it was minute amounts, billionth of a gram, which was proven it wouldn't have had any, athletic advantage. It wouldn't have offered any athletic advantage whatsoever. They always say that, don't they?
Yes.
They always say that because it's the arse end of whatever they were on that has been detected.
Yeah, we're not getting the full. We don't know exactly how much the guy's juiced, and obviously it was significant. The fact that they thought that it was not going to be in his system at all, and the fact that they were able to catch just that little bit tells you how significant the dose really must have been. Like, he must have really been juicing.
Well, listen, fellas, we recap. He didn't make the weight. I thought he lost more rounds than he won of that fight, actually. But his power advantage was so ridiculous that every time he touched Haney with a left hook, he knocked him all over the place. Yeah. So he had 5 rounds he won really big. I think he lost 7. And then so his game plan was so obvious, wasn't it? Use your strength advantage, use your power advantage, and just bash fuck out of him. Yeah. So when I hit him, I'll hurt him, and that is that. Didn't try to make the weight. It's blatant stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I thought that. Shug, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say simply
that. No, Shug, not Sugar.
Oh, the other Shug. Sorry. Go on.
No, like I said, I just said, I'm just backing what I said.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, Esham doesn't think that it should be reversed into a loss. It's almost immaterial that to him, but he thinks he should have a life ban. So he is a hardliner. He's just not hung up on this idea that the actual fight needs reversing.
I think if the guys got in the ring still, they've been allowed to get in the ring, or they've got to sort out these drug tests, because why are they getting into the ring when they've failed?
Yeah,
that's a great point, isn't it, Silk?
Why are they getting the result after the contest?
Yes. Yeah, because they don't want to cancel the fight because they spent all that money in building up. So it's always about the money ultimately.
Yeah.
And I believe it's the fact that the promoters don't want to lose money, the TV don't want to lose money, all that's that kind of stuff. They let the fight go on regardless of the safety of really the fighters involved. And then they catch him afterwards. They could catch him beforehand, absolutely.
Surely they could. Surely. And they have done in other occasions. Conor Benn was prevented from fighting Chris Eubank Jr. nearly 2 years ago now because he got popped on fight week. You know what I mean? So we have an interesting comment here from Sid UK who says, the IV drip clearly wasn't enough. And with masking agents, it's crazy to think what else he took. But then he says, 1 year is fair enough because boxing is desperate for names right now. So he's saying we shouldn't keep Garcia out for too long because of his commercial value. Man.
No, he has to pay the price. I mean, this is what's going to happen with boxing. It's going to continue to get trodden upon. People are, you know what I mean? If you give individuals that don't have the same character enough of an open book where they can just go and do whatever they want, I don't see how it could be good for boxing's future. I really don't.
No.
I don't understand how they still think they can cheat the system. I don't get it.
A lot of them must be getting away with it, I guess, Shug.
It's like the rhythm. It's like the rhythm system, right? It's kind of like you.
What the birth control system? You mean?
Yeah. It's kind of like.
Why do you always got to take it there? It's
I don't
copulation.
always take it there. I just think it just absolutely matches the two.
Yeah. All right. It's very typical a larger thing to say, but yeah. I think that it's the thing. I think a lot of people are probably using and not getting caught as well. I think that's what we see. They must believe that they can beat the system, and not just they can beat the system, but once again, it's been proven that the penalties are worth risking the situation. Do you know what I mean? And I actually think Conor Benn. It might have been kinder on his career if it had been dealt with quickly and the penalty had been meted out, because it's actually really messed up Conor Benn's momentum. This ongoing situation which has never been fully resolved. He's had 2 fights which haven't furthered his career momentum. He's still not any nearer to nailing down a big fight. And Conor Benn's name is kind of fading. So I actually think it hurt Conor Benn not getting this relatively quick process that Ryan Garcia has been in receipt of. Psychologically, Devin Haney's not an undefeated fighter anymore, is he? And did you hear that he's actually looking to take legal action because he said it's hurt him financially in terms of the anticipation around his next fight with Sandor Martin and the way Matchroom didn't even bid for it. He said that this has hurt him in a variety of ways. It's hurt his brand, and he's looking. He's gone in for.
A while. I thought he said he was going away for a while. He's going to go take time off and vacation with his family and come back again when he's good.
He did say that, but they say all kind of things these days because they've got social media, don't they, Silk? That was the thing about the old days. If you wanted to announce your retirement, you had to think about it, and you had to contact the BBC or HBO or NBC or whatever. These days, you say whatever you want to say, and you can retire 16 times a day. How many times has Tyson Fury retired since 2015?
Yeah. Yeah.
My guy agrees with me, Ben. Richard Williams says, should have got the ban's not long enough,
Yeah.
Richard the Secret Williams, right?
Yeah.
You're probably absolutely right. It probably isn't long enough. It needs to be something that he's going to feel. That's gonna hurt him. I mean, he tried to kind of like jump the gun and say, "Well, I'm going to get out of boxing for a while anyway. I'm going to take some time off and go on some sort of sabbatical or something."
Well, that's what Haney said, and Garcia just said, "I'm retired." He announced his retirement yesterday, but he only said it because he knew this was coming.
But on your point, yes, he absolutely 100% right. But as you said about Devin Haney, his body's going to register this as a loss. Absolutely, his psyche is going to register this as a loss. He can't help it, and the other fighters in the division that have to fight him register it as a loss, and they see the weakness in him now, and they see strengths, and they're going to come at him in a whole different way. It's absolutely inverted. Devin Haney's, he was undefeated. No one had gotten to him like that before. Garcia's gotten to him. Now people know he can't be hurt when he's hit, and they're going to continue to, guys that are mediocre are going to push to the point where they're much more than that. And
incidentally, guys, I was devastated Garcia got caught because. Well, obviously not got caught, but devastated because it was such a good story. The way he did it, the way he did it, all the act. I thought I was devastated. I thought it was brilliant that he come through and won, and then he went and got caught for it. Just ruined the whole thing, didn't it?
Yeah.
The thing is, as Eddie Hearn said the other day, or he said that I don't think it was an act. The kid is a train wreck. He is off the rails. He is all over the place, and I don't think it fully was an act. In actual fact, but they were spinning it that way that it was this clever hoodwinking thing he'd done. Making out he was a train wreck when actually he was very focused and was ready to win the fight.
Do you think the drugs or what he was taking actually exacerbated his actions?
I don't know, because he was making a deal of the fact that he was drinking and taking recreational drugs as well, wasn't he? He was trying to affect that appearance that he was doing there.
But if he was taking regular drugs, I mean, obviously they can't stop him from drinking whatever he wants. But if he's taking drugs and that's in the system leading up to a fight, that would be a problem too, wouldn't it? Like if he had cocaine in his system, he couldn't do that.
Yeah, you test positive for that. That's why Tim Witherspoon got a suspension or a fine or whatever penalty he got when he beat, it was Tony Tubbs, right, for the WBA title, and he tested positive for marijuana. Who else? James, what was it? Mike Tyson, Andrew Gallotta was declared a no contest back in 2000 because Tyson tested positive for marijuana. Remember that? Which is
Oh, I forgot all about that. So that's a no contest.
it's a no contest. Yeah,
That one
that's
didn't
all
go
it
on his
is.
record as a win. Wow. Okay.
No, Tyson actually has 2 no contests. Because he has 58 pro fights, but he's only 50-6 on BoxRec, which is
Gowdy the dictionary. I like that.
yeah.
Thank
Is
you.
that right though, Ben? They can change the decision to a no contest or a disqualification, but not a loss or a win.
Well, like you
Is that
say,
right?
have they ever overturned the result of a fight? I don't think they ever have they? Whether it was an appeal against a decision or anything.
Well, how come they didn't overturn Alexis Arguello versus Aaron Pryor?
See, this is an interesting one, Silk. You know what, Silk? I don't remember
Brilliant
there
fight.
being that much controversy in 1982 about this. I remember there was controversy, and they were talking about the black bottle and the one-hour mixed. But I don't remember anybody, any of the leading journalists of the day or the articles I read or anything like that, television commentators. I don't recall anyone saying that man won a fight he was going to lose. Everybody thought Pryor was going to win anyway, seemed to be the consensus.
You can't.
And I've
that
never
was-
really, in recent years, you guys have made me feel that maybe it should be looked into.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be looked into. I mean, he Aaron Pryor, Panama Lewis said, "Give me the bottle, the one I mixed." Unless he's mixing water, it's illegal. It doesn't care if I don't care if he's just putting colored water in there.
Makes you wonder how stupid he was to say that when he's on TV in a
he was
massive fight.
excited. You know what I mean? He didn't know he was on TV. He was excited. It's in the heat of the moment, and he felt like his fighter needed whatever was in this bottle. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Aaron Pryor fan. I mean, I loved watching him fight. He was incredible. He was absolutely great. Whether he needed it or not, who knows? But the thing is, it was given to him. It was given to him as a performance enhancer.
Booster, yeah.
And so, even posthumously, this thing should be turned around for at least for Arguello's family, at least for that.
I wouldn't actually like to see that happen now. It's part of boxing history, and I kind of want him to leave it the way it is. But I understand your point, though. I mean, you raise a valid point.
I mean, and Aaron did beat him the second time, so you know what I mean. I'm sure they checked everything out that way. But I mean, the damage, the physical, again, just like Devin Haney, the physical and the emotional,
that was already done.
Psychological damage has already been done, so it was much easier the second time.
Yeah, because you've broken a bit of that man's spirit. And you see, so much so that the great, implacable Arguello actually sat out on the canvas.
Yeah, he sat down and took the count. You would never think Arguello would sit down and take the count.
You'd never imagine it, would you? And for some reason, and we forgive him for it because it's so out of character that we just almost watch dumbfounded, you know?
I mean, anyone else would do that. Like Duran waved Sugar Ray off like this, and everyone, there's still a bunch of people that are going to scream, Duran's a quitter. Which he isn't, but the thing is, he did that, and people label him that and won't see anything else. With Arguello, you know what I mean? People understood, I guess. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think so. Plus, I think the thing with Duran was there was nothing wrong with him, and people just could not compute that. How can you be that feral and ferocious 5 months earlier, and you turn in such a disappointing, enigmatic performance like that?
I think that's amazing to beat Duran like that, though. That was amazing what he beat him like that, wasn't it?
And I think the controversy of no mess took away the credit from Sugar Ray Leonard that he actually richly deserved.
To beat a
was on
fighter
fire
like that is the hardest way to beat a fighter. The hardest way.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Duran quit because he couldn't do anything with him.
Yes.
He beat him the hardest way.
Yes. You make a man quit. That's really when you've mastered the man. You know what I mean?
No quitter. Duran's a beast of a man. You know what I mean?
Well, you'll have heard about the way Duran. You'd have heard about the way Duran was like 190 pounds or something in camp when he started. Wow. And he'd blown up, because he'd been eating and drinking and partying and all the rest of it. And Duran was a bit of a glutton. He was given to excess, like a lot of people, extreme individuals.
Was that one at lightweight, or was that at lightweight or like welterweight? That
it was at welterweight. He stepped up in. The anniversary was just. Was it yesterday? Yeah, June 20th. It was the 44th anniversary of the fight. Yeah. The first fight, the brawl in Montreal. The second fight was November 25th, 1980 in New Orleans. And the whole thing was Leonard had said he wanted the rematch quickly. He didn't think he did. Initially, he said he was hurting so bad after the fight that he said he wanted about 18 months to cool down before he ever even saw Duran again. Then he went on holiday to Barbados, I think it was, and he started thinking about it and it started messing with him. And he said, he called Janks Morton and said, "Damn it, Janks, I want that fight." And supposedly Janks said to him, "Ray, the timing is perfect. He's going to parties, he's blowing up. He's weighing. He's practically a
You
cruiser.
really think that was?
Cruiserweight."
You really think that was a part of their strategy? Like the fact that I don't see it in Sugar Ray's character to say, okay, well now the guy's blown up, he's fat and he's useless, and if we put the fight on quick, then I'll have a better chance of beating him. I just don't.
Do you know what? I think that's overplayed too, Silk. I think people make too much of a deal of that. And I'm actually sick of hearing it the same way I'm sick of hearing about how beastly Ali was to poor Joe Fraser. I get so sick of these narratives. But to be fair, Leonard, that came from Leonard's mouth. That was in an interview
really?
in Ring Magazine in 1983. He said,
Oh.
I said, "Damn it, Janks, I won that fight." And he said, "Ray, the timing is perfect. He's blowing up." So, you could never say Leonard was immune to a little gamesmanship. I know how competitive you are, for instance, even if it's something relatively trivial. And I can imagine you thinking, well, if he wants to get fat, that's his lookout.
Well, it is absolutely his responsibility. I mean, as fighters, we know it's like as soon as you sign for the fight, or even before you sign for the fight, you're a fighter. That's what you do for a living.
Yeah.
That's there's no getting around that at all. You absolutely have to be 100. If you accept the fight, if you sign the contract, you're 100%. It doesn't matter if you have a broken knuckle, you turned your ankle in training, you got your eyes thumbed out. It doesn't matter if you sign for it. Is that right, Shug? Is that right, Shug? Like, do you feel that way? Like when a person signs for a fight, they said, "I'm 100% and I'm ready for it." That's all there is to it, and it's all you can play.
Even if you're not, you signed for that fight.
Yeah.
You got in the ring. I had every excuse under the sun with my losses to myself.
Yeah. All right.
But I know that I've got in the ring. What can I do? I can't make any excuses.
Yes.
Can't make them.
Yeah.
And my man here on the right said, Shug, that he said he thinks it's actually quite rare for a professional fighter of a certain age to enter any fight injury-free entirely. You've always got something bothering you.
Yeah, if you listen, I trained twice a day. Probably you're the same, Silk. I didn't have training camps.
Mm-hmm.
I trained all through the year. I trained twice a day. It was a lifestyle to me.
Yeah. Yes.
So it wasn't a training camp, but these training camps they do me head in because I don't believe in the training camp. Obviously, you've got to tighten things up, but you should be training all the time, in my mind.
Yeah.
So let me ask you quickly to shift for a second, Shug. Did you get into boxing just wanting to give it a go, or did you really believe you were going to be world champion?
No, I never believed I'd be world champion. I started a little bit late. Not as late as you. I started at 15.
Okay.
I believe it's good to start as young as possible.
Yes, I'm 100% with you.
So my coach, Brendan Ingle, was an amazing coach, an amazing person.
Yeah.
And the guys that did well in his gym started young, 6 and 7. Nazim Ahmed was 7. Ryan Rhodes was 6. Johnny Nelson was young. There was really 10 and 11 and 6 and 7.
Yes.
And one who sticks it out that prevails. The one who sticks it out prevails. The other ones divulge and do other things, and they don't stick to it. And that's my thing in my gym at the minute. I'm trying to get people to stick to it. The hardest thing when you get to 16, 17, 18, they all branch off.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things, one of the benefits of starting when you're young is you get to you get to digest the trauma a little bit easier because it's not as painful. Like when you're 6, 7 years of age, emotionally it may hurt when you lose, or 9 or 10 years of age, emotionally it may hurt, but physically it doesn't hurt. And when you start learning for the first time how to box when you're teen years, chances are you're getting in the ring with men, developed men, like they're right around the corner, they're puberty, and they got weight behind their punches now. So now you try something like slipping a punch, and it hurts when you make a mistake, and you're going to make a mistake, of course, initially for the first half a year to a year, and learning to slip a punch. You're getting hit with that, so all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I'm not going to learn to slip that punch because it hurts when I do it. And whereas you could do it when you're like 9, 10, you learn your defense and all that kind of stuff. A bunch of punches come at you, and you can get hit, and it's forgivable. But if you get hit as a teenager, you're like, I'm not going to do this anymore. So therefore, it automatically limits your style and your abilities. So when you go
Yeah.
up against that kid like Mayweather, who's starting when he's 6, 7, 8, you know what I mean? And or a lot of other guys that have done that. It's a hard one to tackle.
For sure. I think, well, like you say, when you're young as well, you've got more kind of disbelief of anything negative as well. If you decide to model yourself on a genius when you're like 9 and 10 years old, you will actually start picking some of that stuff up if you train all the time and you've got a bit of natural talent because you don't really listen to people telling you shouldn't do it a certain way. You know what I mean? When you're young, I think. So
Just being around, Ben. Just being around. I've got my 8-year-old son. He loves football, but I just get him in the gym. Just being around it. You don't have to be
absorb it.
Just be in the atmosphere. Just be in the area. I'm hoping he comes through, but like I said, just being around, even if you're not doing anything, trust me, you improve and you grow with it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Well,
when did you start fighting, Shil? How old were you?
Like I said, I got in the gym in August. I can tell you everything. I got in the gym in August 1991, near my birthday, 15th, and then I boxed in November 91. And I had 47 amateur fights in 4.5 years. I was busy.
Okay.
And then I turned pro in September 96.
Was the amateur club called Unity at the Winco Bank Gym in Sheffield? Was it called Unity?
Well, I didn't box for them, but it was called Unity, and they had two names, Unity and St. Thomas's.
That was it. Well, who did you box for then? What was your official club of record as an amateur?
It was a small club called RHP. So I won a national title for them after 2.5 years. They'd been running from about 1972 before I was born. But they never had a national champion. It was only a small club, you know. So I was the first ever and the only national champion from there. But that ended up closing in 2000. I left in 96. It closed in 2000. Now the club's in Newark. It's absolutely real massive in Newark now. There's 4 or 5 clubs in a small town, and it's really well for boxing. God willing, we get a world champion one day from this town.
At a certain point, did you think you were going to be champ, like world champ?
It's funny, you know, because I'm not a tough guy. I was never a tough guy. I'm not a tough guy. You know, I didn't go around being tough. I was never one of them guys that I can fight. I was never like that. I was a skillful, nice and skillful, not much power, and I just picked up really well. I lost my first two amateur fights to the same guy. He had 10 fights. I was on my first fight. I'd only been in the gym 2 months, put me straight in there. But then I won 10 on the trot and stopped 3 of them. Wow. And it just went from there. So I was skillful. And then I started working on my strength and my power when I got with Brendan Ingle on the way to punch. And, you know, throw punches and connect and turn the knuckle in, lean into my shot, pullbacks. And it just a matter, it takes time. It took a lot of time and patience. And I started knocking them out. I had about 7 or 8 knockouts on the trot. I believe some punchers are born. I mean, you might have been born a heavy puncher, but if you can work on it, you can improve power.
Yes,
that's a fact.
Yeah,
and I'm knocking them out on the face, so it can be worked on.
Yeah. So I mean, because I look at you and I look at some of your fights, and I mean, you hit dudes with one punch and you drop them. You know what I mean? And sometimes
that was a guy that I was really just a fast, sharp, boxer. I was not a puncher, you know. I was not.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's interesting because sometimes we look at our percentages, our KO percentages on wins of fights, and there are some guys that are really good punchers and they don't have a great KO percentage, but they may not be as accurate finishers as they are. Like they're not as good a finisher as they are a puncher. Like you can punch good and you can hurt somebody and you drop them, but the finishing skill is a total different thing altogether.
Do you know what? Remember Richard Comey when he was coming up, and he was 21-0 with 21 KOs when he first fought in Britain. I remember he fought at York Hall. Steve Goodwin, the promoter who was putting him on at York Hall, said don't be completely swayed by that 100% KO percentage. He said Richard Comey is not a massive puncher. He said, but he's
Wow.
stopped all of his 21 opponents so far. He said he's a volume puncher and he's gotten everybody out of there. But he said, but he's not a one-shot knockout puncher at all. So I think it can be misleading, like you say sometimes. Still,
Yeah.
you look at Sonny Liston's early fights, and he hasn't. Sonny Liston went the distance a few times in his earlier fights, and his KO percentage isn't off the Richter scale. But Sonny could punch holes in a volcano, couldn't he? You know?
Yeah. He was an
So-
incredible puncher.
Michael, sorry calling you Michael, Silk. Sorry,
Oh,
Silk.
please,
So
please, Mike is
early
cool.
in your career, you like with opposite with me. I didn't have many stoppages. With you was knocking them out from straight away.
You know, it's very strange. Like from day one, I almost felt like there was one time in the gym that I hit somebody and I hurt them, and from then on in, I know it was early I was like 16, something like that, and I was really skinny. I was maybe 15, 16. I was like 95 pounds, but I hit him and I hurt him, and I thought this is just the way to go. Like this is just it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't an overly aggressive individual, so I more or less like I would catch people, I would counter them and hurt them more than I would like initiate. I was definitely a counterpuncher, and then when a person extends, when they overextend, I would fall back and catch them, and I could hurt them. And but I think my lack of experience in the amateurs and I didn't become the best finisher. Like I look at people like Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns and you know these guys, and I look at how they finish, and I'm just like, wow, they're able to just put their foot on the gas and accelerate until they can get a guy out of there. That takes a whole different type of, I think, a temperament, mentality. You know what I mean? Like hurting somebody is one thing, then getting them out when they're hurt, or even if they're just buzzed, is another thing altogether. Sometimes, like I'll watch Ray hit guys, and I wouldn't even know that they're really buzzed, but he knows that he has such confidence in his hands. Like he hits a guy, and he knows that guy's got that reverberating thing going on in his head. And
Andy Price fight.
Yeah.
Andy Price.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, the best when I saw Sugar Ray Leonard losing to Thomas Earns, and he stopped him in the 14th round.
Yes.
I could not believe the onslaught he gave.
That's unbelievable. It's like a machine gun.
Yeah.
I could not believe it.
Right.
And that wasn't a steady fight. That was some fight anyway.
Yeah.
How did he do that?
Yeah, that was amazing.
How did he have that artillery to keep going and going and go? The punches he threw was unbelievable. Speed and power in the 14th round.
Yeah,
I never
like the first
saw like that. I never see one like that again.
Yeah.
No. And that, as I said, that's my favourite fight because it just had everything in it, you know.
Unbelievable.
But Sean here, by the way, has said, Esham, my dad was at your pro debut in Cleggy, and my first fight live was watching you against McGrath, also at the same venue. He said
Cleethorpes, yeah, September 6th. I boxed a guy called Brendan Bryce, and then I boxed on my 5th fight, I think, at Cleethorpes again, yeah. Memories, man. Crazy.
Do you know, I'd like to ask about the Ingle gym and the culture there, especially for Michael's benefit too, because obviously 96 you turned pro. Nassim Hammer was riding high then. He'd beaten Steve Robinson back in 1995 initially to become a world champion for the first time. And you were in and around that whole kind of Ingle culture, which is just a very interesting time because people who saw Nassim Hamid up close in the gym on a daily basis, like yourself, are convinced that he should have been the Roy Jones #1 pound for pound at any weight in world boxing, and should have been an all-time great, on the level of anybody else. And you all believe that he underachieved and didn't do what he was ultimately capable of, because you said in the gym he was completely without peer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I go by my experiences. I've been in the gym with Joe Calzaghe. I've been in the gym with Ricky Hatton. I've been in the gym with the best fighters and seen how they work. Now, you don't win a fight in the gym, but this guy, just sparring, come on, Silk, sparring, it does tell a story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gym fighters, there is a lot of gym fighters that are amazing in the gym, There was a guy I couldn't do anything with him in the gym, but when he fought, he never won. But in the gym, I couldn't. But Nazim Ahmed was phenomenal. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't quote it enough.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. You know, when he's out, listen, all right, it's in the gym, but when he's out jabbing 6'4" cruiserweight and heavyweights, time and it's only to the body, don't get me wrong, time and time again, but not getting hit. That's special. You know, it's special. He underachieved, but that's his fault because he didn't live the life of like a Floyd Mayweather or a, you know,
exactly that.
He definitely underachieved. He was unbelievable.
But one thing he said, Shug, was that when he moved away from Brendan, and you could see the tensions by the Wayne McCulloch fight in 1999 in Atlantic City. You could tell they were there just because of a contract alone, and he really wasn't listening to Brendan at that point, and he broke away shortly afterwards. What he said when he got Oscar Suarez to train him, and Manny Stewart was involved as well. He said, "I've never had proper pro one-on-one training since my career, since I was a kid." He said, "All I've done is the same routine that all the amateurs at St. Thomas's do." He said, we all do this little set routine of training, and we all do the lines, is that true? Is that absolutely true?
I'm with him 1,000%.
Please expand. Go on.
Yeah, I got there, in '96. I seen Naz at his best from his first defense against Said Lawal until Wayne McCulloch. It was amazing fights he did in that period of 4 years. But he come in the gym like all of us, and there was a system. I don't know how it went with you, Michael. I'd be very interested how you went your daily routine. But we had a routine, and it was a system. So we do footwork on lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we do pad work, and then we jump in and body spar. That was it. We do a blow. We do a circuit on the bag called blows, which is a certain set of routine with punches that took you about half an hour. Says in and out of the bag, hitting the hard punches, dipping on your shots and leaning, which built my power. But that was basically the blows, the footwork, and the body sparring.
Yes.
When you say body sparring, you mean you only went to the body and not to the head?
That was very well known in that gym.
No headshots. So Brendan Ingle was big on this, and I'm big on it. I do it in my gym. But I do a little bit more open sparring. Brendan, for my first professional fight, Silk, I was in the gym 4 months and before my first fight, and I never sparred open for 1 round.
Wow.
And I got in and I actually stood the guy in his head. But it's all about not getting hit and not taking punishment, because I was the most active sparring partner for Brendan for other fighters. I went all over Europe sparring all fighters. I was very active.
Yeah.
And please tell me if you think I'm wrong, but a lot of these guys that I went to spar with, they sparred every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
6 days a week out of 7.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
2 or 3 weeks. That has got to be a deterioration before you're getting into fight. You can't do that. 6 days a week.
Yeah.
All the way up until 5 days before the fight, you're taking headshots.
Yeah.
He's got to be the right way.
You believe it was important for longevity of Brendan's fighters? They didn't take all those headshots. Silk, is there a problem? There's obviously a possible drawback that you're not head full sparring. You're not slipping punches. You're not blocking punches to the head because you're only throwing shots to the body. How much of a difference does that make to your actual technical preparation? Do either of you think?
I think personally, I think it does make a huge difference. I am not a fan of hard sparring, like with the intent of your opponent to knock the other guy out. Like really what the way 90% of sparring is done is like sparring is boxing without the athletic commission and doctors monitoring the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For bragging rights, exactly.
Exactly. It's bragging rights. It's all the rest of that kind of stuff. It's putting everyone in their order, and this is the pecking order, and this is how it goes. And if you step up and try to step up with this dude, he's going to beat you down. That's it. I believe situational sparring is the best best thing.
Condition, we call it. We call it condition sparring.
Please be with me on this. Right. Have you heard anybody say, please agree with me. Have you heard anybody say, let's have a light spar?
Yeah. And how does
It's
it
a
always
load
go?
of fucking shit. Does my head in.
Yes.
A light
Yeah.
spar. You know, a
Let's
light
just have a
spar,
move around.
somebody hits you light on the fucking nose, you're going to hit them harder.
It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never have a light spar. They don't
I
have a
love
light
that when
spar,
someone
don't
says
work.
that. Let's go light.
Don't
Yeah.
fucking work. No chance.
No.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
right.
That's they're definitely trying to pull one over, the fast one, and that happens all the time. It happens in every gym, every language throughout the world. Every single gym, you have those individuals that they try to take advantage of you. They try to. What's that one kid's name who Wilder put in his place? That Charlie, what's his name?
Charlie Zelenoff.
Yes.
But he hit him kind of in the gym, but not in the ring, didn't he? He just hit him when he walked in the gym.
Yeah, no, I mean, some of the other things he does, he tells people, let's just go light and let's just touch it up. And then all of a sudden he's loading up on people. And it's only the type of guys like the top tier fighters that can handle that kind of stuff. Because psychologically, everyone sort of like just gears down. And you're like, okay, we're going to go light. But boxing, there's like that pecking order. And as soon as you get into sparring, if a guy's trying, like I have guys that I work with that are not, I think, fully ready to compete on any open level yet. I tell them, listen, when you go into that ring with this gentleman that you're going to be working with, you must respect him. Don't do anything disrespectful because that's only going to get you a headache or a concussion.
Yeah.
It's so important that you learn that. You can't allow your kid to learn that on his own. That lesson he can't learn on his own because it's going to hurt him emotionally. It's going to hurt him, again, psychologically, physically, of course. And he just won't feel like you're trying to build your fighter's confidence up. So you say, listen, this is how you do. You pay this man the ultimate respect because, one, yes, he can hurt you. And that hurt's going to be real. And you don't know what's going to happen after that. And so you can't go in there just unloading on a person and not think they're going to come back. Even if you agree to do light sparring, then you start throwing bombs at a guy. Absolutely, it's on at that point. It's on. And
Phil, every spar I had when I was paid and given the job as a sparring partner, which I did 50 times at least. 2 weeks in Denmark, maybe 20 times. 2 weeks in Ireland, 2 weeks in London.
Yeah.
Every spar, they're out to take you out. It was out to take you out.
Yeah. That's why you're earning that money. That's why you're getting that money.
Right. So you can't do that, Ben. You can't give in hard spars all the way up until the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. It uses up a fighter. But talking of sparring, Shug, I want you to tell the Silk this story. I've heard it before, but he hasn't, and it's a fantastic story. I'll set the scene for you quickly. Esham did challenge for the WBO World Bantamweight title against a guy called Mauricio Martinez in December 2000 on the undercard of Joe Calzaghe versus Richie Woodall, I believe it was.
It was an amazing card. There was
there was a bunch of guys
on there. Amazing.
Yeah.
There was 5.
It was one of them Frank Warren mega cards of the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So he challenged for a world title on that evening, and unfortunately, it was one of them things when he got stopped in the first round, and Esham had a bit of trouble digesting this. So tell me how you chose to put it right psychologically for yourself, Esham. Tell the Silk and tell the audience, please.
First of all, Silk, I was boxing at a weight that was not the right weight for me. I walk around 9.5 stone, which is what, 136, 135. And I used to get down to super bantamweight, which is 122, 122, and you weigh in the day before. So 4 pounds more to bantamweight at 118 was a lot for me. To make that weight. So it really killed me to make the weight, but I got a good payday, making the weight. But I was beat before I got in the ring, and then caught me cold, and he put me. I'd never been down in 10 years of boxing.
Yeah.
And I went head first down. You know what I mean? The best knockout you'd ever see. You know?
Yes.
Panamanian. He boxed at the Gleason's gym in.
I saw him there.
In New York, So proper good knockout. Obviously affected me a lot mentally. I didn't box for about 8 or 9 months after. I was always in the gym, but just not ready. I did a few exhibitions. I did an exhibition with the guy you work with, Ben. He's not Chinese. From up your way, you work with him.
Choi's from Peru.
Choi. I did an exhibition with him about 5 months after, and I was scared to death, and I was, like that. I'd never done like this before. He's a very strong guy anyway, but they put me in with an exhibition with him to see what I was at. You know what I mean? And I was, what's the word what you use when
gun shy?
I was gun shy, totally gun shy.
Uh-huh.
What I did, I went on a trip to New York on a weekend trip, just with my friend. And I said, I want to go to the Gleason gym. Got to go to the Gleason gym just to have a look. So we got there. I'm knackered, totally knackered. I gets in the gym. I got nothing. I walked in, and Mauricio Martinez was there. I couldn't believe it. I didn't even think about it. I walked up to him. His coaches was there. I mean, his coach is a friend on my friend on Facebook. I forgot his name now.
Uh-huh.
Friend on Facebook. Oh, Ben, you need to be a really good trainer anyway. And I says, can we spar? I didn't even think. I just said it. Can we spar? He knocked me out 9 months ago, 9 months ago.
But they didn't recognise you, did they?
They didn't. No, not at first. And they went, oh. It was like all shocked. He was obviously on training camp because he had all his team around him and was rapping him,
Yeah.
That's another thing, incidentally. We never had our hands. Did you have your hands wrapped for a training session?
No.
I didn't get all that.
Yeah,
nowadays. A lot of them do now. You used to put your own bandages on, right?
But that's 2001. Yeah, we just did it our own, didn't we?
Yeah. 1970s.
Anyway, wrapping him up, and I says, do you want to spar? I don't know what come across me. I had no gloves, no bandages, no kit, nothing. I borrowed everything, got moulded the gum shield, and did 5 rounds. And listen, I didn't stand him on his head, but he didn't hit me, and it was easy.
Yeah,
it was exercise. It was cathartic and exercise that ghost.
Yeah. And that's the difference from a spar to a fight. But he couldn't hit me. I had no trouble in it. That killed the demons for me.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Say again.
Cool.
I said, I'm just saying to Silk, that's a cool story, right?
Yeah, and then within a year and a half of that day, like I said, I won 3 belts within 11 months, and just had a good run. Had a good career.
Yeah. I mean, because after that, Silk, he won I believe he won the Commonwealth first, then the British title, and then the European title, and that is some serious amount of esteem attached to that. In an era when we have so many world champions and these kind of bogus acclamations, to be a British, Commonwealth, and European champion is something that is history.
It was all knockouts and there was all separate fights. So I won the Commonwealth in February, the British in July, and then the European in January within 11 months.
Well, let me ask you: at what point did you lose your love for the sport?
Personal life.
We
could be here all day. We could be all day still, but personal life. I found out I had a son of 7 months old.
Okay.
And then the girlfriend that I was seeing that lived 1 hour away from me was pregnant within 6 weeks. From that day, so I found out my son February 2nd. The end of March, my girlfriend was pregnant.
Wow.
And I had the 3 belts and my house paid for, everything going sweet. Next in line for a world title. It was all happening.
Yep.
From that day, it just all went wrong for me. I boxed a guy called Michael Hunter, which Ben will remember.
Yes.
Good fight. I come out, I dropped him the first round, dropped him the second. I had no will to win him, me. And he come back. It was still a close fight, but he got the decision. And I was never the same after that. I did win a British title again against regular upper, not a good upper, not a great fighter, but I did have the British for a bit. But I never redeemed myself after after my personal life. That's all it was. You've got to be right mentally, ain't you?
Yes.
You've got
Yes,
to be right up here.
100%. And did you not have? There was nobody in your corner really that could help you through that stuff. Like you didn't have a mentor.
Well, this is the thing. Brendan Inglad is MBE. He's a member of the British Empire, and he was an amazing person. He was a people's person, but he kept out of it. He knew something was going on, but he kept out of my personal life. Possibly, if I'd have got somebody to, maybe I didn't open up as well, but if I'd have tried to sort that out at that time, it would have made the world a difference. But no, what I should have done was go away when I found out I had a daughter on the way.
Yeah.
Some time
So
off.
that was to you. That was the divide right there. Like if you were to go back at any point in time, and it turn left instead of turning right, or even if there were some sort of like if there were an emotional characteristic trait you wish you had, like being able to tell people something that maybe it wouldn't seem. What word am I looking for? It wouldn't really seem fair to them, or telling them something difficult, but that would benefit you. Like for you to be a little bit more selfish, so you could look after yourself and go on to win what you needed to win, or to do what you. Are there moments like that in your career?
Well, you know. I mean, come on, Silk.
Yeah.
People, I always hear people say, and hopefully you won't say it because they always say, "I have no regrets." Come on, do you have no regrets?
Oh yes, oh, man.
Ben,
So
do you have no regrets?
Yeah, I don't dwell on them, but cool. Certainly things for sure.
Yeah,
I don't believe people when they say they've got no regrets. I don't believe them because I've got regrets.
I think what that means is it's no point having any regrets. So I choose not to let them eat me up, and I choose not to. We are like Donny Lalonde said, we either become better or we become bitter. And I'm a great believer in that.
Better or bitter. I like that.
But I think when I look at guys' careers, like so when I become friends with fighters who were operated at a serious level, like you two gentlemen, what I'm aware of is how messed up everything is, and how there wasn't proper advice, there wasn't proper duty of care, there wasn't proper infrastructure, and there just wasn't a proper process. And it is the Wild West. It is a form of prostitution, like you said the other day in our private conversation, Silk, and it's a lottery how you come out of it at all, isn't it? And whether you still have the right amount of faculties, health and neurological kind of clarity and everything else to get on with your life afterwards. Never mind the money. And you know what I mean? It's who would do it really? You've got to be passionate about it, because the arguments for actually doing it on a percentile basis are very discouraging, aren't they? To become a professional boxer. It's something you do it because you love it, don't you? You really do. For all its warts and all the nastiness of the business and the disingenuousness of it, you do it because that's who you are.
You also feel there, like, for some of us, there are like just fewer options. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm interested in that because you, for instance, you seem educated, and I get the feeling you always have been. And was boxing your only option, or I get the feeling you probably had a bunch of options?
I felt that boxing was my only option at that time. Absolutely.
It's funny, because your mother told me literally the other day that when you were about 4 years old, one of the adults asked you a question at a gathering, and he said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And apparently you politely replied, "A man." At 4 years old, I had no trouble believing that whatsoever.
Right, I was a wise ass back then too.
I was saying, you've always been a smart aleck.
Yeah, hopefully, always the smart before the aleck part. Yeah.
Was it because boxing was your passion, Silk? Is that why you went that way? It sounds like
I really don't think Sugar. I really don't think boxing was my passion. I actually don't. Like I loved it. Like I watched Ali. My father was a fighter, and there were all these things pointing me in that direction. But I don't know if I could say that that's what I wanted to really do. Because I was in this place of, I don't know. It was just like, when you just sort of like levitating. You're just in one place. You're going around circles, and you can do any number of things, and you just happen to gravitate towards one thing, and then it ends up becoming a necessity, because now you're 16, you're 17, you're turning into a man, and what are you doing with your life at that point? So I needed something to latch onto, and my father was a fight trainer at that point. Not that I was living with him, but at that point, it's also like, okay, well, I can also be closer to my father. I think some sort of thought there, that kind of process, that thought process kind of pushed me that way. And
Did you have a rough background then? Did you have a rough background, or was it a
I
rough
didn't have a rough background. No, my mom made life really easy for us growing up as kids. You know what I mean? I mean, we had responsibilities, but nothing heavy at all. So I absolutely could have been a very just level, evil, even tempered, just live the
I'm just trying to imagine Silk in the hood. When you just said, "Did you have a rough background?" I'm trying to picture Silk in the crypts, like he's flying these colours right now, and it's not coming to me very easily. That vision.
Hey, listen, Liverpool wasn't easy at that. Well,
No,
I guess it
you're
was.
right. And Liverpool still isn't. Liverpool is still a rough, tough city. It is.
Yeah.
It's actually got the reputation as possibly the worst city in the UK for real disreputableness, hasn't it, Esham?
Yeah, it's a rough
Liverpool's
place.
got we make jokes about what you call a scouser in a suit and tie, the defendant, and all that kind of thing. That's sort of
There's a boxing club on every corner in Liverpool. Boxing club on every corner, though, isn't they? In Liverpool.
yeah. There's a bunch of great clubs, in Liverpool. Although it hasn't produced the kind of lineage that Sheffield has. Although some of the Sheffield fighters were imported, like yourself, like Harold Graham is actually from Nottingham, like you are, Esham.
Yeah, that is one thing as well, Ben. A lot of the champions wasn't from Sheffield. Obviously, there's Naz,
Junior Witter,
Johnny,
was
Junior's from Bradford.
Yeah, exactly. So Naz was from Sheffield. Ryan was from Sheffield.
Kel and Johnny, they was from Sheffield. The rest of them, the rest of the champions come from other places, really. Well, Ryan Rhodes was from Sheffield, but most of them was from other places, and they moved in.
Sure. Who do you think is pound for pound the best fighter in the world today, or even just best fighter for you? Who do you like the most
At this present time?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with Bud Crawford, but I like Inoue.
You like Inoue, okay. What is it that you like about?
Of course, Gervonta Davis. I'm really impressed with him on his last fight.
Yeah,
we like Tank, don't we?
Yeah.
Tank's exemplary. He's different.
He's very technical. He's got everything, really. He's got everything. Yeah. I think we haven't seen him if he's got a good chin yet, but I believe he has. I believe he's got a good chin as well.
Yeah.
I believe he's got a good chin.
Yeah. The top three, I guess you would have to say, for me, Inoue, Crawford, and Tank, just on their ability.
What about Usyk?
Obviously, Usyk is there too.
Probably he's amazing.
Yeah, Usyk is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible fighter, and he's very smart. His hands are very intelligent. Like, you can tell intelligent fighters by the complexity of the combinations they're able to throw.
Like, again, Silk, it's down to the experience he had. He was boxing from 6 and 7, and he boxed all over the world. He boxed for his country around 300 times.
Yeah.
This guy was boxing regular 300 odd fights. Yeah. You can't beat practical experience. You just can't.
No, you can't. But even then, you can have guys with a lot of experience and still throw the same predictable, mundane combinations and punches.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have guys that, like, they create their own. I mean, how long has boxing been around? And you're seeing these guys throwing punches and doing moves that we haven't seen yet. You know what I mean? I think that's incredible.
Yeah. By the way, this is a classic comment without wishing to interrupt or segue. Joe has said, Esham looks like Tony Ayala Jr. Don't tell him I said that. And I can see it with that Stetson and the kind of the little bit of growth and the swarthy complexion. He actually does. He does. He's never reminded me of Torito before, but he could be Tony Ayala Jr. there if you squint, which is the reason why he says don't tell him I said that is because it's probably... Go on.
Was he world champion?
He wasn't. You know the whole story, right? So I wrote a book about him. It was Chug. I wrote a book about him. He was the can't miss prospect who was knocking everybody out, and then he got banged up for a violent rape, and he had all kinds of problems. Died of a heroin overdose eventually. But he was a big kind of prodigy in San Antonio who's been romanticized over the years. I think it's fair to say,
Mm-hmm.
But he was some fighter, but he obviously had a lot of problems going on.
Can I ask you both a question?
Sure.
I'll put it to Silk first. Silk,
Sure.
if I said to you, what's the best asset in boxing to have in your repertoire? You know, what would you say it is?
Oh boy, that's a tough question for me. Boy, I mean, I would like. I mean, that there's so many attributes. I'm thinking, um, dexterity is really important because if you have dexterity, then you're an intelligent fighter. If you could throw combinations, to me, you're using your hands at a level no one else is using them, and so you're an intelligent fighter. And then there's like one, for instance, your eyes. Your eyes see everything, and they create openings, they allow for defense. Um, and then there are just basic things like things that are controllable, which are that you can enhance yourself with, like endurance, for instance, which allow you to take a fight to an area where very few people can really operate. I'm not really sure between those. I mean, but it isn't something as obvious as power, for instance, or
speed,
or the ability to take a punch. Timing. Timing, I have to say, would be the number.
Yeah,
one.
well, I was hoping both of you would say power or speed, because I was going to say, I believe in, it's like a knockout punch, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe in power and speed.
Mhm.
I believe in distance,
Mhm.
timing, and accuracy.
Yes.
Them 3 ones, you've
Mhm.
got everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
if you understand timing, you understand not only your own timing, but the timing of what's coming at you. So if you can anticipate what's coming at you, which a lot of the greats do, and reflex being a part of that, being able to react to what's coming at you. If you understand timing, you understand pretty much everything. You can predict your opponent.
And also, as you said about eyes, people don't use their eyes properly.
No,
I got people who take on the pads, kids and stuff. I said, why are you moving your eyes when you go to the body? Why are you moving your eyes when you go to the body? You don't need to move your eyes.
Yeah.
You need to move your head. Because when you look at somebody, I can see somebody 6 foot each side of me. I can see people 6 foot down when I look straight at you. I don't need to look at their body when I go to the body. I look them in the eye and go to the body. They won't know you're in there, you know?
Yeah, well, 100%. You're absolutely right. You don't. It's a tell. When you look down to the body, it's a tell as well.
Exactly.
So you should only do that if you're fainting.
Exactly, 100%. Like I think like Hearns did that to Duran. He looked at the body, but he knew he was coming up to the head. Hearns was great.
Did he try it with you?
He succeeded.
Yeah.
Nas would look at your feet and put his head down at his feet, but he's looking at your feet, but he's looking at your head, you know?
Do you know what? I sparred with a guy once at the Angel Boxing Club in North London, and he trained at Wincobank. He was a real Nassim Hamed nut, and he'd gone up there and got friendly with Brendan, and to the point where he was allowed to have the keys and open up at St Thomas's sometimes, and he'd done a bit of training there. And he used to look. He wouldn't make eye contact. He didn't. He was really hard to box with the first time I sparred him because he wouldn't make eye contact with me, and that's very disconcerting right there.
There's a lot of guys that look at your hands. And that to me was the first time I got a taste of that. It was very confusing.
Did you look in their eyes still? Did you look in their eyes?
I tend to look like basically in their eyes, but I used to think I saw everything, but it was only everything like from like the chest up. So if it were coming from like there were times I fought guys and I got hit and I didn't even know where it came from. And that's because they, like for instance, one of the most dangerous fighters for me to fight, because I'm used to when a person's body reacts, the fist is coming. But when a person throws their body first and then the punch comes afterwards, kind of like Buster Drayton, Tim Witherspoon, Frank Tate did that. It's a timing that I just couldn't adjust to. It was really strange to me. The body came, and so then I'd react, and then the punch comes after it, and I'd be like, "Wow, that was."
I believe that you can't watch the Frank Tate fight to this day. You can't watch it. Is that true? You're serious, right?
No. It's to me, it was extremely.
It's baggage that you still haven't unpacked, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's very that's a really hard one for me to accept.
I'm
I mean, I
saying,
accepted. I
I
lost.
can't watch the fights that I lost. You know, I can't
Yeah.
watch it.
Do you watch yourself ever, Shug? Do you watch? You stick it on now
Nah,
and watch yourself? No.
nah, not even. I mean, sometimes people send me clips of knockouts and stuff, but not really a full fight. What about
No.
yourself?
I don't watch myself much. I've
Yeah.
only got a bit of footage of fights anyway, and I've seen them before. I don't find much interest. I'll show them to someone else if I want to see it.
These fights, I've
So,
never seen some of the fights I lost. I never watched them.
Yeah.
I watched
what
them.
about you, Silk? Do you like to stick yourself on sometimes and have a little highlight reel?
You know what the wildest thing is? Like I could watch my fight with Barkley, which that fight was stopped in the 5th round, I think,
Yes, it was. Yeah,
to my loss. I can't watch the Tate fight. The
it's
Barkley
funny
fight.
because I wanted to do a rerun of your fight with Hearns once, and you said, "Can't you do the Barkley one, please?" And I was like, "Oh, all right, okay." So I did.
Still, what was it with Barkley? Because he was never outstanding to watch.
Uh-huh.
I know he was a
Yeah.
beast of a man,
Yeah.
and to beat Thomas Hearns, you know.
Yes.
But what was it about him? What was that? What was that thing about him that was essential?
You know, I think he had this ability to like fight through us during in the storm. He could be in the eye of the storm. You could hit him, and he's coming back at you at the same time. I didn't really recognize his strengths going into the fight. Then when I got into the fight, I was like, okay, this guy's timing is a little bit different than what I thought. Like he looks very, very primitive. The way he throws his punches, where they're coming from. Sorry, excuse me. But actually, when you're in the ring with him, you see there's like a method to this madness. It's like you gain a different appreciation for his abilities. Um, Again, you know, I had certain attributes that weren't with me there that night, and you know, things weren't happening. So I can justify that loss much easier than I could justify the Tate loss. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Ellen's wearing a Barkley T-shirt while she watches this show. Ellen K. Bromson is
Oh,
wearing
so
an
let's-
Iran Barkley T-shirt.
That looks like it says Berkeley, so that's in California, and it's a
Yeah, it's
university.
a university, I
That
believe.
doesn't count. Yeah.
Yeah. We've deflected that
I
one.
want to see that T-shirt. But Barkley was a great warrior, and you know what? He had, I believe, his skull was just like thicker. It was just like he was able to take a shot. I don't know. I mean, I dropped him.
It looked like the shots. You know, if you move on to a shot, it trebles, quadruples the impact. It looked like he could move on to the shot, and he wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a tough man.
I hit him with a left hook on the point of his chin, and I was shocked when I saw him get up.
When you see Roberto Duran,
That was some left hook.
you know, like what was this guy eating?
Yeah.
I love the Duran Barkley fight. It's such a beautiful fight to watch. It's such a great
really
performance for Duran.
Oh, what a fight! What
Yeah.
a fight! How did he do that? I mean,
Yeah.
he's a lightweight coming up all them weights. You know, he was never that big, Ben, was he? Come on, he's fighting.
No, we don't get him started.
Well, the thing is with Duran, what's so beautiful about Duran is, I think anybody, if you're throwing circular punches against Duran, forget it. It's a wrap. And in fact, even in Sugar Ray in the first fight, he was looping the right hand and throwing hooks
Yes.
and over, and you can't touch him with that stuff. When Sugar Ray in the second fight, he threw that right hand a little straighter, and that made a big difference. And of course, you saw Hearns was throwing the punches straight. But if you're looping punches against him, that's why he ate Barkley up. Barkley doesn't throw straight punches, basically. I mean, you'll throw a good straight jab, but everything else is kind of like an overhand right, a hook, or an uppercut, and he's swinging for the bleachers, and that absolutely fits perfectly into Duran's scheme
Defense.
and how he beats fighters. I've never seen anybody get away with beating Duran throwing circular punches. I mean, even when he jumped in the ring with Nigel Benn to spar with him, Nigel Benn's throwing circular punches, and he's like rolling off all that. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
That's fantastic footage as well when they sparred at the Metropolitan Wharf.
Yeah.
In
Punch him with both hands at the same time. Bah.
1989, I think that was.
That's a good thing as well. You know, like with this a good big fire beats a good little fire. When I think you get a lot of exceptional fighters like Duran, because he was He was 5'6".
Yeah.
Why is he beating a light heavyweight? You know, like, because he was exceptional. I mean, that's my case for Usyk as well. I mean, I did have Usyk. I bet on Usyk to beat Fury. But when he's saying he's a blown-up middleweight and all this, he's that good. And he'll beat Fury again in my eyes. He's that good.
Yeah, I think so too. Absolutely. He just has this ability, like you're saying.
I think it's a winnable fight for Fury, but but maybe I do fancy Usyk to repeat the trick as well, you know.
But how would he beat him? What would he do differently, do you think?
I think he'll be more aggressive next time, like he was against Wilder compared to the first fight.
And he's got to set a ban. But Usyk's a riddle, isn't he? You don't know what he's going to do. You know, I
thought there was a real turning point in that fight. I thought Fury was tenderising Usyk up to the 7th round.
I saw that.
Then it all went wrong.
The uppercut was coming in. It was
he was starting to beat him up, and Usyk looked discouraged. But Usyk found something else because he's a great fighter.
Yeah, that's what you do. He switched gears, or he learned how to.
But make no mistake, fellas. Fury is one hell of a competitor. One hell of a competitor.
He's a competitor, absolutely.
And he will become. His whole life will be dependent on this. His whole identity, his whole everything will be based on pulling off this fantastic comeback.
They reckon he's already on it. You know.
No, listen, he already thinks he won. He still thinks he won this fight anyway. So.
You
know, do you think he actually does believe that as well?
He's halfway there. I read his quotes.
Is it just presto, Silk? I don't believe he thought he won it. I think he's just.
I'm wondering if he believes that what he's saying, Silk. I wonder.
Yeah, you think? Maybe he's trying to convince himself. Maybe he's doing it for other. I don't know. I guess there are a myriad of other reasons he might.
Remember as well, guys. Usyk got an early cut that he dealt with really well. For that fight, which must have been a hindrance, you know.
Do you know what was really cool about Usyk that night? There was another Ukrainian fighter who boxed for a world title in the States that same night. I forget his name now, but it was like a super featherweight or a lightweight championship.
Yeah.
And the other Ukrainian guy, what's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue, but I'm not getting it. One of these will tell me. But he boxed for a world title on the same night, and they were watching it in the hotel room, you know, in Saudi. Usyk and his team, and they're having a bit of a party, but they haven't got pizza and beers. They've just got fruit and stuff all out on things. And then suddenly the Ukrainian won, and Usyk started dancing around, and he looked genuinely more jubilant about his mate, his countryman winning than he had been about winning himself. Never mind the enormity of the fight that he won.
I really love
the biggest buzz of the night he got was his mate winning.
I love Usyk's demeanor, his personality. He's just like he's a real person, and he's somebody that you can respect and admire, and he's absolutely great for the sport. Absolutely, you can tell how real and genuine he is, and you can't defeat that. We need more of that in boxing.
I think so. I think we do. You know, and no doubt it will be an interesting road just to see if Tyson stays on the rails and everything else stays on the rails for December the 21st.
He could go one way or the other, couldn't he? You just never know what's going to happen.
Nah. Have you met Tyson Fury, Shug?
Yeah, I met him. It'd be 10 years ago now I met him. And he was coming through. I might have been British champion. No. It was after. But he just didn't know me. He didn't know all. But I had a picture with him and that. Yeah, I think
I've met him a few times. I think he's a strange character. You know, I think he is quite, for all this kind of people's champion thing, that he's quite aloof. I think Fury. He seems like this kind of guy who seems quite lonely and introspective, even when he's surrounded.
One
by
sec,
people.
Ben. I've got to get my charger because it's going to run out. I won't be a minute.
No worries.
We're about to close out, right?
We'll probably wrap it. We'll probably wrap it soon anyway. But let's,
no problem.
Yeah, I mean that's possibly a natural end. It was really good to have you on the show tonight, Shug, and I was glad to give you a proper introduction to the Silk and vice versa.
Yes, thank you so much. It's so great meeting you, man. You're a real man. Right away, I feel that camaraderie. We've never met before, but you know what I mean. It feels real. I can't wait to meet you.
To go over to New York, Silk, and I'd love to meet you. And I really appreciate bringing me on, Ben.
No,
listen, we're going to do the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame again in September, and go to New York for a few days first. If you fancy that, let me know, man.
I'd love to, mate. Honestly.
Yeah,
All
that
right,
would be
I'm going to talk. I'll stay in touch about that. We got to
Yeah.
Philadelphia as well the night before, don't we, Silk?
yeah. Philadelphia, got to get them
Love
Philly
it.
steaks.
Milkshakes and
And I'd love
and
to
cheesesteak.
do this again. I'd love to do this again sometime. You know.
Absolutely.
Yes, we'll have you back on absolutely
And
before.
I wish you guys all the best. As I said, I've told all my friends in the last half an hour to tune in. So I'm hoping
We've had a few of them.
viewers.
Listen,
Thank
guys,
you.
thanks for tuning in. Sid Bogle, by the way, we're not making any predictions this week on Felix Cash. The reason being, Silk will say that's a regional interest kind of fight, not something of global importance. I've got to agree with him on this occasion. But we will be back on Sunday. Gary Stretch, by the way, apologises. He's been travelling all day. He is in London right now, but I've not seen him yet. He's probably hiding. Listen, we'll be back next week. We'll be back not next week. We'll be back on Sunday night, breaking it down. You know the drill.
I would
Like,
love to
support,
send Gary
subscribe.
as well. But all the best, guys.
That would have been good to see Gary because Gary was an Eagle fighter too. But okay, I'm going to close it out, guys, and we'll just say goodbye in the studio. Okay, peace out. See you Sunday.
One love. Thank